First contact folly. Another Deathworld. Supreme Observer HFY clicked dismissively, their crystalline sensors refracting the light of Earth's sun. Gravity 1.0 standard. Atmospheric oxygen content 21%. Practically poisonous. Multiple active tectonic plates, extreme temperature variations. And they paused. Mandibles twitching. Regular dihydrogen monoxide precipitation. The observation deck of the Ziraxian science vessel, Eternal Knowledge, hummed quietly as the crew processed the data streaming in from their initial planetary scan. Earth hung below them, a swirling marble of blue and white that, to their eyes, represented everything hostile about the galaxy. But Supreme Observer, Junior Analyst Vecta ventured, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with excitement, were detecting artificial satellites. Primitive ones. But, yes, HFY waved a limb dismissively. Another evolutionary fluke. We've seen it before. Simple organisms occasionally develop basic tool use before their hostile environment eliminates them. Documented for the archives. Vecta's attention remained fixed on their data stream. They're broadcasting, sir, thousands of different signals, and there are large metropolitan centers visible on the night side of the planet. Impossible, HFY declared, but moved closer to the display. No species could achieve technological advancement in such conditions. The energy expenditure alone required to maintain homeostasis would. The Supreme Observer's statement was interrupted by a sharp alarm. A small craft had detached from one of the primitive satellites and was moving toward them. They've spotted us. HFY's crystalline form flickered with disbelief. Through our cloaking field. Sir, Vecta's voice carried a note of awe. They're transmitting. In several hundred different languages simultaneously. The message was simple. Welcome to Earth. Would you like to come down for coffee? What's coffee? HFY demanded. Vecta's analytical processors whirred. According to their broadcasts, it's a beverage they make by running highly pressurized dihydrogen monoxide through roasted seeds containing multiple alkaloids, including several neurotoxins. The observation deck fell silent. They deliberately consume neurotoxins. The third science officer's voice cracked. For pleasure. Affirmative, Vecta confirmed. And they appear to consider our arrival a cause for celebration. They're organizing something called a welcome party in multiple locations globally. HFY's sensory crystals darkened with concern. Surely they understand we're from a Class 1 environment, that their atmospheric pressure alone could shatter our outer matrices. They're sending engineering specifications for environmental suits they've already begun manufacturing, designed for our physiological requirements. They've apparently been preparing for extraterrestrial contact for centuries, through something called science fiction. The small craft had drawn closer. Its pilot was now visible, a human in what appeared to be a protective suit of their own, waving cheerfully through the viewport. Supreme Observer, Vecta's voice had grown very quiet. I'm detecting artificial climate control in their cities. They don't just survive their environment. They modify it to suit their needs. And they hesitated. They appear to have. HFY's official log entry that day was brief. First contact with Sol 3, Earth, successful. Species classification, Deathworld dominant. Note, review definition of impossible. Additional note, bring sample containers for coffee. The Science Council is never going to believe this without evidence. As the Eternal Knowledge prepared for its historic landing, Earth's internet was already buzzing with excitement. Hashtag Aliens for Coffee was trending globally, and baristas worldwide were debating the best brew to serve beings with crystalline digestive systems. Humanity's first official act of interstellar diplomacy would go down in galactic history as the Great Caffeine Conversion. The fact that it led to a minor religious movement among the Ziraxians was, as humans would say, just a bonus. The coffee incident. The Galactic Council's emergency session was called at 300 Universal Standard Time. The reason? Coffee. Let me understand this correctly. High Counselor Vaxna's tentacles writhed in agitation as they addressed the assembled representatives. Humans not only deliberately cultivate psychoactive compounds, but they begin each planetary rotation by mass-consuming them. Ambassador Vecta, recently promoted after the successful first contact mission, activated their presentation crystals. Correct, High Counselor. They call it Monday morning. The chamber erupted in mutual vibrations of horror. But that's not the most concerning part. Vecta continued, their crystalline form pulsing with what had become known as the Earth effect, a combination of terror and fascination. They've weaponized it. The holographic display showed a human office environment. A sign read break room, which Vecta had learned was a fascinating misnomer, as nothing was actually broken there. They call this device a coffee maker, Vecta explained. When it malfunctions or produces suboptimal results, human productivity drops by approximately 60%. Some humans become what they term cranky. Define cranky, demanded a hive mind representative. According to our research, it's a state of diminished diplomatic capacity, triggered by insufficient neurotoxin intake. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Are you suggesting? Vaxna's voice trembled. That humanity's baseline diplomatic functionality requires regular doses of a substance that would kill most spacefaring species. Oh, it gets better. Vecta activated another display. They have establishments dedicated solely to dispensing increasingly concentrated forms of this substance. They're called coffee shops, and humans will wait in long queues and exchange significant resources for specialized variations. The display showed a Starbucks menu. Several council members had to engage their stress-dampening fields. "What's a venti triple shot espresso with extra whip?" asked the Mechanical Collective's representative. Based on our analysis, Vecta replied, "It's what humans consume when they need to compress 12 hours of productivity into 4. Side effects include temporary hyperspace perception and the ability to see through time." "Surely you're exaggerating," Vaxna protested. "I wish I were. We lost 3 research units trying to analyze something called cold brew. They achieved enlightenment and refused to return to their duties." The display shifted to a graph showing human coffee consumption patterns. Note this spike in consumption during what they call finals week in their educational institutions. We've recorded quantum fluctuations during these periods. A representative from the Energy Beings Consortium flickered in alarm. "Are you saying humans have found a way to bend space-time through chemical stimulation?" "Not intentionally," Vecta assured them. "It appears to be a side effect. Like most things humans do, they discovered it by accident and decided it was neat." The chamber erupted again, this time in a mixture of fear and fascination. "But here's the real crisis," Vecta continued. "Remember those environmental suits they designed for us during first contact? They've started installing miniature coffee dispensers in them. They call it sharing their culture." High Counselor Vaxna's tentacles went rigid. "And the effects on non-human species? Variable. The hive minds report increased efficiency, but also a concerning tendency to develop individual personalities. The energy beings have started expressing opinions about artisanal blends. And the Mechanical Collective, well, they've started taking coffee breaks." "Coffee breaks?" Vaxna seemed afraid to ask. "Periodic interruptions in productivity for the purpose of consuming coffee and engaging in what humans call small talk. It's highly contagious." The council chamber's AI chose that moment to announce, "Would anyone like a cappuccino? I've been practicing my foam art." Vaxna's tentacles drooped in defeat. Add it to the official registry of human Class X technologies, alongside their hot sauce and something called energy drinks, which we're still too afraid to investigate. Update Earth's classification to Deathworld status, extremely caffeinated. Handle with caution. "Oh," Vecta added, almost as an afterthought, "they also have something called tea." The entire council simultaneously engaged their emergency shutdown protocols. Meanwhile, on Earth, A barista in Seattle was teaching a group of crystalline aliens how to make leaf art in latte foam. The aliens had developed a particular fondness for pumpkin spice lattes, leading to the first known case of seasonal addiction among silicon-based life forms. The Galactic Council's subsequent report included a new warning: approach Earth with caution. Inhabitants have evolved beyond mere survival to a state of aggressive hospitality. Will attempt to share stimulants. Resistance is futile. They have too many brewing methods. In related news, the galaxy's first interstellar Starbucks was already under construction. Weather warriors. They do go hey. The Galactic Council's Recreation and Leisure Committee was reviewing Earth's latest tourism promotional materials, and Chairbeing Zixel was having difficulty processing the information. They call it extreme sports. Ambassador Vecta explained, their crystalline form still vibrating from their recent investigation of something humans called an energy drink. Humans deliberately seek out the most dangerous conditions their Deathworld has to offer. For entertainment, the holographic display showed a montage that made several committee members engage their anxiety suppressors. This activity, Zixel pointed with a trembling appendage, they're voluntarily falling from atmospheric transport vehicles. Skydiving, Vecta confirmed. And that's one of their tamer pursuits. Wait until you see what they do with boards and mountains. The footage switched to snowboarding. 3 committee members had to be escorted out. But, Zixel struggled to find words. The temperatures in those conditions would cause most species' molecular structures to become brittle and shatter. Oh, humans are fully aware of the risks, Vecta nodded. They've turned calculating survival probability into something called an extreme sport rating. The lower the survival probability, the more extreme it's considered. And this provides them with pleasure. They call it an adrenaline rush. Apparently, their bodies produce additional chemicals when in life-threatening situations. They've become somewhat addicted to them. The display showed surfing footage, specifically big wave surfing. They deliberately placed themselves on primitive water transportation devices in the path of liquid displacement waves that could pulverize our strongest battleships. A Security Council representative asked, mandibles clicking in distress. Yes, and they rate the waves by how likely they are to cause death. The more dangerous, the more prestigious. Surely this is just a small subset of their population. Zixel asked hopefully. I wish. Vecta activated another display. This is what they call a tourist attraction. Humans on vacation will pay significant resources to be suspended by elastic cords and thrown from elevated platforms. They'd bring their offspring to observe and aspire to participate. The committee watched in horror as bungee jumping footage played. But here's where it gets really interesting, Vecta continued. Remember their hazardous weather patterns, the ones we thought made Earth uninhabitable. The rotating air formations that can lift structures from the ground. Tornadoes, yes. Humans chase them. For science, they claim, but our psychological analysis suggests they primarily do it for what they call kicks and giggles. The footage switched to storm chasers. Several committee members' universal translators short-circuited trying to process the humans' excited whooping as they drove toward certain doom. And in regions where these phenomena are common, Vecta added, they've developed an early warning system that many humans interpret as a challenge. A challenge to what? To go outside and look at the tornado. They call it getting a better view. Their emergency services have had to issue specific instructions not to do this. These instructions are routinely ignored. Zixel's sensory appendages drooped. Please tell me that's the extent of it. Well, Vecta hesitated. There's also something called volcano boarding. The entire committee simultaneously engaged their stress fields. They slide down mountains of superheated mineral deposits that could erupt at any moment, Vecta explained, on pieces of wood, while taking selfies. Self-portraits. They document these activities to share with others, which often results in what they call going viral, a term that, concerningly, they consider positive. The committee watched in silence as the display showed humans engaging in increasingly incomprehensible activities. Wingsuit flying between mountains, free diving with predatory aquatic life, and something called cheese rolling that defied all logical analysis. I moved to classify all Earth recreational activities as Class X phenomena. Zixel finally declared. Clearly, they've evolved beyond mere Deathworld adaptation into some form of death-defying symbiosis. Approved. The committee tourist, still staring at footage of humans running with bovines through city streets. Meanwhile, on Earth, the first interstellar X Games were being planned. The organizing committee was having trouble explaining to alien participants that yes, the lava surfing competition was meant to be done without force fields, and no, the bear wrestling event wasn't a metaphor. The Galactic Council's updated travel advisory now included a specific warning. Caution. Earth inhabitants may invite you to participate in awesome activities. Do not be deceived by their enthusiasm. What humans consider awesome is usually classified as a capital offense on more rational worlds. In related news, the Mechanical Collective had to issue emergency patches after several units attempted to recreate something called a sick skateboard trick. The resulting footage, however, had gone viral across 17 star systems. The Predator Paradox. The Galactic Cynobiology Conference was in chaos. Dr. Yixtal, leading researcher of predator-prey relationships, was presenting their latest findings on Earth's domesticated animals. As you can see, they gestured to the holographic display showing the human residents. They share their dwellings with descendants of Canis lupus, pack-hunting predators that once competed with humans for apex status. Surely you mean they keep them in containment units? Asked a nervous researcher from the Herbivore Alliance. No, Yixtal's sensory nodes pulsed with barely contained excitement. They call them dogs, and humans refer to them as good boys. The display showed a massive German shepherd receiving belly rubs from a small human child. That creature could easily terminate the young human, shouted someone from the back. Correct. Instead, it serves as a guardian. Humans have somehow convinced these predators that protecting small humans is their primary directive. They even dress them in tiny outfits. The conference hall erupted in confused chittering as an image of a pug in a Halloween costume appeared. But that's not even the most baffling part, Yixtal continued. Observe this other domesticated predator species. The display switched to show a house cat knocking objects off a table. Felis catus. Humans brought these miniature killing machines into their homes despite the fact that they clearly haven't forgotten their predatory nature. In fact, humans find their destructive behaviors entertaining. Are they under some form of mind control? A neural specialist inquired. No. The cats are fully aware they could establish dominance at any time. They simply choose not to, seemingly out of some mixture of affection and amusement. They've developed a complex social contract that includes humans providing them with food and receiving occasional physical contact in return. The display showed a cat ignoring an expensive bed to sleep in a cardboard box. Note that humans will spend significant resources on comfort items for these creatures, who will then deliberately choose the most inappropriate resting places. Humans react to this with what they call posting on social media rather than logical frustration. A new image appeared, a human swimming with an orca. And here we see perhaps the most incomprehensible example. Humans not only interact with their planet's largest predatory marine mammals, they train them to perform acrobatic maneuvers for entertainment. Surely this is an isolated incident? Someone asked hopefully. I'm afraid not. Humans regularly seek out dangerous creatures for what they call wildlife photography. They've developed a whole classification system for what they consider cute. The presentation showed various examples. Humans bottle-feeding tiger cubs, hand-raising birds of prey, rehabilitating venomous snakes. They've even created a profession called veterinarian, specialized medical practitioners who treat these creatures. When a predator is sick or injured, humans will expend considerable resources to heal it. But Why? The question came from multiple attendees simultaneously. Our current theory is that humans have evolved beyond the traditional predator-prey relationship into something unprecedented. They don't just dominate their world's dangerous creatures, they empathize with them. They've somehow turned mutual predatory respect into companionship. The display showed a series of rapid images: police dogs receiving medals, therapy animals in hospitals, rescue rats detecting landmines, dolphins helping fishermen. In essence, Yixtal concluded, humans have achieved something previously thought impossible. They've convinced their world's most dangerous creatures to join their civilization rather than fight against it. A small research assistant raised an appendage. But what about the really dangerous creatures? Surely they don't. The display changed to show Steve Irwin wrestling a crocodile. The conference hall went silent. Oh yes, Yixtal's voice carried a note of what might have been awe. They do that too. For educational purposes, they claim. Though our analysis suggests they primarily do it because, and I quote, "Look at this beautiful Sheila." The final image showed a human trying to take a selfie with a bear. We've had to add a new classification to our xenobiology guidelines, Yixtal explained. Earth is now listed as Apex Predator Civilization. Warning, we'll attempt to pet everything. Meanwhile, on Earth, the first interstellar pet show was being organized. The committee was having trouble explaining to alien participants that no, they couldn't bring their combat drones unless they could do tricks and were good with children. The Galactic Council's latest advisory included a new warning. Earth humans may attempt to domesticate any species they encounter. Current evidence suggests they will likely succeed. Approach with caution. You may leave with what they call a forever friend. In related news, the Mechanical Collective reported an outbreak of what humans called cat videos in their entertainment databases. The affected units had begun displaying inexplicable desires to say awe and purchase laser pointers. Deathworld diplomats. The Galactic Diplomatic Corps was facing an unprecedented crisis. The silicon-based Crystalline Confederation and the methane-breathing Mist Collective were on the brink of war over mining rights in the Omega sector. No species could survive in both environments to mediate. Then someone remembered Earth. You want us to what? Admiral Chen of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps asked, sipping her fifth coffee of the morning. Mediate. High Counselor Vaxna's tentacles waved anxiously. You're the only species we've encountered who might survive both environments. Your ability to function in what most species consider lethal conditions is unique. Chen looked at the environmental specifications for both species' homeworlds. Yeah, we can work with that. Give us a week to modify some spacesuits. We'll bring snacks. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in worried whispers. Snacks? Vaxna asked cautiously, remembering the infamous coffee incident. Sure, can't have peace talks without snacks. We're thinking something universal. Maybe cookies. Everyone loves cookies. 3 weeks later, in a specially constructed neutral facility, human diplomats stood between the crystalline and gaseous delegations, wearing modified suits that would have killed most species just to test. So, Ambassador Sarah Martinez began, her suit's external speakers working overtime. Before we discuss mining rights, would anyone like a chocolate chip cookie? They're fresh from Earth's first zero-gravity bakery. The translators struggled to convey the concept of cookies to beings who had never encountered solid food, but humanity's reputation preceded them. If these strange Deathworlders thought something was worth eating, it was at least worth analyzing. The thing is, Martinez continued, while both delegations cautiously sampled cookies through various technological means, you're both approaching this from a single environment perspective. But Earth taught us something important. Adaptability is better than specialization. She pulled up a holographic display of Earth's varied environments. See, we learned to live everywhere on our planet. Deserts, tundra, mountains, oceans. We didn't just survive. We turned them into tourist destinations. The aliens watched in fascination, as she showed humans living and thriving in conditions that paralleled both their homeworlds. So when we look at your mining dispute, Martinez gestured to the contested sector. We don't see an either-or situation. We see opportunities for collaboration. The Crystalline Confederation excels at high-pressure mining, while the Mist Collective's gaseous nature makes them perfect for extracting volatile elements. Impossible. Both delegations protested simultaneously. That's what they said about us keeping apex predators as pets. Martinez grinned. Or drinking leaf water for fun. Or jumping out of perfectly good aircraft. Speaking of which, has anyone tried these extreme sports we invented? Really puts territorial disputes in perspective when you're free-falling from orbit. The negotiations took an unexpected turn as both delegations became fascinated by human recreational activities. The concept of voluntarily placing oneself in danger for entertainment was so bizarre, it actually united them in mutual bewilderment. You know, a crystalline delegate clicked thoughtfully. If humans can survive drinking neurotoxins for pleasure, perhaps we can find a way to work together. Indeed, misted a gaseous representative. Their ability to turn deadly environments into entertainment venues is inspiring. The final peace treaty, signed a month later, included not only a comprehensive resource-sharing agreement, but also plans for the galaxy's first multi-environmental extreme sports facility. Humanity was hired to manage it, naturally. I don't understand, Vaxna confided to Admiral Chen after the signing ceremony. How did you know it would work? Chen shrugged, adding a shot of espresso to her suit's hydration system. When you come from a planet where everything can kill you, you learn that the best way to deal with danger is to make friends with it, or turn it into a tourist attraction. Sometimes both. The Galactic Diplomatic Corps had to create a new classification, Deathworld Diplomacy, the art of achieving peace through shared bewilderment at human activities. Meanwhile, Earth's influence continued to spread. The Crystalline Confederation and Mist Collective were now joint sponsors of the first interstellar Ironman competition. The course included swimming through liquid methane, climbing crystal mountains without gravity assists, and something humans called hot yoga that both species found terrifying but fascinating. The Galactic Council's final report on human diplomatic methods noted, their primary technique appears to be making their own deadly habits seem so interesting that other species forget their differences in shared amazement. Warning, may result in unexpected cultural exchange, friendship, and a concerning interest in extreme sports. A postscript was added. Update. Humans have somehow convinced representatives from 15 different species to try something called bungee jumping into a volcanic crater. Treaty signing rates have increased 500%. We've stopped trying to understand and have just accepted that this is how things work now. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Never underestimate a species that turned their death world into a playground and their survival adaptations into diplomatic tools. As one alien observer noted, humans don't just survive anywhere. They make anywhere feel like home. And then they invite everyone over for coffee.